Hi, and good afternoon. Thanks for attending Your Careers in Digital Government. It's really exciting for us to be able to do this presentation. We sent it out a week or so ago, and we had room for 120 people, and it filled out in 20 minutes. So then we wanted to figure out how to make this just as professional, video-wise and audio-wise and experience-wise, and we were able to because we got in James McKenzie, and who does wonderful work. Well, you'll also notice this is the first talk we're offering Inderdeep Singh, one of our team members, a UX designer. The PowerPoint is his, and I think his work's extraordinary. You'll notice that we're in the same room. We're using all COVID precaution. We came in yesterday to map out the space to make sure that we were all in the right amount of space to be able to do this correctly. But it's exciting to be in here. You will receive a survey right after the presentation. Please fill it out. It really helps us. It helps us even figure out how to do this type of talk, and what to do next, and what you like and what you don't like, so we can continually improve it. This, Your Careers in Digital, I like to say it's like a 101. In the survey, there'll be a place where you could say, I want to hear this next, I want to hear this next. I think this will be one of quite many talks to follow. And I also want to acknowledge that we're on the Kwangin territories, and really proud to live here. And finally, it's time to introduce my colleague, Dea. Dea is the digital talent lead for the BC Dev Exchange. Her work supports ministries in building cross-functional and high-performing teams. Essentially, Dea's work will provide guidance on how we attract and retain digital talent in the BC Public Service. So, to you, Dea.
Thank you, Ari, for that introduction. Hello, everybody, and thanks for being here today. I am very happy and excited to be able to have this conversation with you. So, in terms of just the format of this conversation, we will have some exercises or activities, if you will, just to keep everyone engaged and also to get a sense of where people are at in terms of digital government and digital talent. So, welcome, and hope that you enjoyed this conversation for today. So moving forward, before we jump in, let's start off by getting to know each other a bit. And we will do a poll this time using Slido. And the question is about, please select what best describes you as an attendee of today's webinar. And I'm waiting for Ari. It will just take 5 seconds at least. We'll give you a couple of seconds there to answer this question and see where people are at.
We're getting quite a few responses. I'm going to give it a little bit longer.
For sure. Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to stop it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we had 177 responses. Mm-hmm. And our results are, I'm a job seeker, received 19%. I'm a hiring manager, 1%. Mm-hmm. I'm an organizational leader, 10%. Mm-hmm. All the above, 30%. And I'm just curious to know what this is all about, 41%.
Perfect. So we're all curious individuals here, which is great for this session because this is what it's about, just an introduction to a conversation about digital government and digital talent. So thanks for that, everybody. So moving forward, what are we talking about today? I want to clarify first off that I'm speaking from my experience as a hiring manager for digital talent at the Exchange Lab. And before I worked here at the Exchange Lab, I was working with the Natural Resource Ministry in a similar role as a digital talent lead. So we will do some context setting for what we think digital government is and what we think digital talent is. I'm always curious to hear about what people think digital government means and what digital talent means, because I think it's just really important to get a sense of what the meaning is for people. At the same time, we will talk about the current roles in BC government that has transferable skills and competencies to digital talent. And then we will dive into the topic with some examples and why digital talent is critical, especially in the digital government space. So we're gonna do another activity. As you could tell, I like to do activities because I want to keep people engaged, right? First, in one word, what do you think digital government is? And we'll give you a couple of seconds there just to get a sense of what people think it is. Just pick the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says, digital government is, and whatever comes to your mind, just type it out. You don't have to think hard about it. We'll just wait.
Starting to come in. We're starting to get some good numbers.
Perfect.
Oh, lots. It's great to see so many people putting in really neat thoughts, like all
Yeah.
these different thoughts.
Just so you know, I actually don't see the Slido, so it's just Ari telling me what he's seeing and then just saying it out loud. So I'm very happy to know that people are participating there. Yeah.
There's so many different ones. I'm gonna stop it in 10 seconds,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna start reading off the almost 200 responses.
Sounds perfect.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Not expensive, innovative, security, modern, client-oriented to serve their needs and quickly, efficiently, connected, evolution, innovation, required, interaction,
Required, yes.
online services, web services, service-driven,
Yeah.
data, software, cloud,
Yes.
application,
Yes.
platform, trendy, yep, web-based, services, collaboration.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Yep, consistency, integration, more collaboration, online, virtual presence, government services,
Wow.
convenient, flexible,
Yes.
automation, accountability, single window, simple.
Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually very surprised that I didn't really hear the word technology, which is quite interesting. Only because when talking to people in person, the first thing that they tell me what they think digital government is right away they say technology. We're using technology to deliver products and services. And there's definitely an element of that in digital government.
There was 2,
Is
but
that
I
right?
stopped at about 40.
It's number 40. Sounds good. Thank you so much for participating. And all of the things that you have said, all of your answers are in fact all correct. So yay for everybody. Let's move on. So what is digital, right? So let's think about this for a moment here. And this is Tom Loosemore's definition of what is digital. I'm just breaking it down into pieces before we get into what digital government is. And take some time to read it. And I like this definition of digital by Tom Loosemore because he is well known for his work on UK's first government digital strategy. And if you're curious to learn more about digital government, I highly recommend reading his work on this. And he's all over the internet, and he's very popular regarding this topic. So yeah, just Google him up, and you'd be able to see all of his work about this. So as you can see, there's a couple of elements here, right? It talks about culture, practices, processes, and technologies of the internet era to respond to people's race expectations. And I guess the key word there is race expectations, right? From citizens and from users. And this is the key for digital government, is whether that's ask me once kind of service, meaning the ability for us to just ask for people's information once only, and having that integrated system and process within different levels of government, that when people give us their information, they just give it to us once, right? That's one of the things that, in terms of raise expectations, people are really talking about flexibility, convenience when we did the activity for what digital government is. So it really touches on that. However, I do want to say that digital government is broad and there are multiple factors at play. It involves governance and policy. Here in BC, we have the digital policy, digital framework, and the drafted digital principles. I highly recommend reading these pieces of work. If you're ever curious to learn more about what we're doing here in BC, and in fact, we can even send a link later for more resources if you're curious about that, for sure. With this work, we need governance analysts and policy analysts to help us create or revise policies that will enable us to drive digital government forward. So think about this, right? Like, we want to make sure that we have the policies to enable us to deliver products and services that meets our citizens' needs and expectations. So imagine if you're trying to deliver something, a product, a digital product, and you need to deliver really fast. However, your policies or your procedures or processes or governance doesn't meet that, or that it's not congruent to what you're trying to do, then there's a real disconnect there, right? And it will become a challenge for us as public servants to actually deliver. So next is citizen experience. I really love this point because it's about thinking how we may learn about citizens' experience when accessing our services. We need people who do user research, who does interviews, who collects data and analyze that data. So I think more and more we as a government are more curious and thinking about how our citizens are interacting with our services. Is it something that they need? Is it easy to use? Is it convenient to use? Can they access our services anywhere, everywhere, from their phone, from their laptops, and on the bus or while walking, right? It's just one of those things to be curious about and see how are people actually accessing our services and how do they feel about that? Like, what is their experience, whether it's good or bad or something in between. So, moving on with results and delivery. We need to be able to produce results and deliver services that citizens need and expect. This involves performance management, right? Evaluating results and measuring whether what we have delivered was valuable to our users. It's key that every time we deliver a product or a service or a program, we actually need to know the results and whether what we have promised to deliver is actually meeting citizens' needs and expectations. So it's very much related to citizens' experience as well, right? And also results and delivery. And of course, there is the obvious aspect of digital government, which is agile and technology. And we need to know that we are using the right methods, tools, and technology to deliver. In this area, which is actually predominantly the topic of this talk, we have our digital talent roles, such as your software developers, we have product owners, Scrum Masters, UX researchers, and UX designers. So with all of this in mind, please take a moment to read this definition of digital government from OECD. And this is something that I really like. It's long, but it captures what I'm trying to say earlier. So I'll give you a moment to do that. As you could tell, digital government requires an ecosystem approach to deliver services. Digital government is here. Whether you are driving it or impacted by it, we all have a role to play in it. So I'm gonna move on to our next slide here. So we have another activity. In one word, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of digital talent? So one word, when I tell you, what is digital talent? Don't think about it too hard. The first thing that comes to your mind, just type it away and we'll see how it goes. We'll give some seconds there.
Please go on to the live polls to put in the word. No answers.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna move on then, and we're gonna talk about what it is. So I'd like to emphasize that this part of the presentation focuses on agile product delivery teams. That is teams that actually deliver digital products and the ones that we host here at the Exchange Lab. So I wanna be clear that there are different roles to play in digital government. That is, there are a lot of job titles and job roles that are included in this, but just for the purpose of this talk, just because it's quite short, I really want to just emphasize on the teams that we actually host here at the Exchange Lab, and these are the teams that actually deliver software or application or also known as digital products, right? So keep that in mind when I'm talking about talent and moving forward from this presentation. So, again, as I said earlier, I was a hiring manager for the Natural Resource Ministries before moving here to the BC Dev Exchange or the Exchange Lab. Here at the lab, as much as we build actual digital products, we actually build high-performing teams. There is an actual delivery for your applications and software, but a higher value is actually having these teams, because in every product or every service, you have talented and dedicated people who needs to drive that to completion. And that's what's really important here at the heart of digital government. So I will focus on the first three roles from the left to demonstrate how the current roles in government has transferable skills to these three digital talent roles. And these are the product owners, Scrum Masters, UX designers, and researchers. I do want to mention that software developers are a bit more trickier. There is limited internal government talent to go around, and hiring external talent, it's hard because the market is very competitive. We are engaging really well with co-op students, and there is work underway to attract and retain digital talent. Some people are reskilling to become a software developer. So if ever you're thinking about changing careers and you're curious to learn about how to become a developer, there is a pretty good chance that jobs for you will be available everywhere in any sector, whether that's private or public sector. So there's a lot of opportunities there. If you're ever wondering, how may I change my career and what is the most in-demand skills right now for digital government, I would say it would be software developers. So there you go. There's that information there. In terms of like specific classes and things like that, I think in the next talk, if you guys are interested in learning more about where to get an upskill and get some of those skill set and where to go in terms of education, we could definitely go deeper into that, right? But that's that for software developers for now. So through researching the current roles that we had in the BC government and analyzing the transferable skills to digital talent, I have found these 12 job titles in BC government. And there's a second page to this, so I'll show that to you, the other 6 later. Again, just to say that digital talent government is broad. And of course, this is not by all means an exhaustive list of job descriptions that have transferable skills to digital talent. I also found that when hiring for digital talent roles, the job descriptions for these job titles that you see right now on the slides, they have some of the competencies and skills that I'm looking for. So as you can see, there are project managers here, there's lean consultants, there's performance management analysts. And on the second page, there's your governance and strategy analyst, there's web content strategies and communications. These current roles, supplemented by new methods and new ways of working, makes them suitable for digital talent. And I will emphasize that point a bit later as well. So to your left right now on the slide, you can see the job titles in BC government that I think has transferable skills to digital talent and roles, right? So these are just giving to you all the 12 job titles that I research about current government roles. So let's look a bit deeper into what this all means. So for instance, let's look at product owners. In an agile digital product team, product owners lead one or more multidisciplinary agile delivery teams to deliver new products or iterate or enhance an existing product or service to meet user needs and expectations. So imagine like a PO really setting the tone of the vision and the goal of the product that he or she needs to deliver. And it doesn't mean that he or she is acting alone. There's multiple stakeholders that are influencing how to drive the digital product. Bear in mind though that the product owner, I'm gonna say PO because I like to shorten things. POs are the ones who make the decisions for what the vision is for the digital product while engaging stakeholders and making sure that everyone's on board and understanding what we're trying to build here. So as I said earlier, as a PO, there's a lot of work around stakeholder engagement, relationship building, and they are responsible for the vision of the product or products that they're building. They are making decisions with long-term enterprise impacts related to the outcomes of products that they are creating. So working in this new space, it may reveal that previous products or services no longer serve what our users need. Hence, as a product owner, he or she must be able to lead and manage change within the organization. And that's why I think the role of change managers or leads are really critical in this space. And so I see the roles of the project directors too is very critical in terms of just making that higher level decision. And I feel that the competencies that these job titles have really fit the product owners quite well. So moving on to the next digital talent role, which is UX designers and researchers. UX designers and researchers are quite interesting because they're very broad as well. I just want you to think that they are focused on the user's experience. And in an agile digital product team, the work involves, prototyping, user interface, components. There's probably graphic and interaction design that comes into that. There's design patterns and data visualizations. It also involves user research and understanding what the users need and want. So if you think about the applications that you use, on your phone, let's see, maybe let's talk about Pinterest for a second. I love Pinterest. So in this example, as a UX designer and a UX researcher, you are responsible for interacting with users to ensure that the product meets their needs and expectations. So if you look at the app, a UX person would be responsible in asking the questions like, how are you using the application? Like, how is it working for you? What is hard to use about it? Or what do you think we can improve? Or sometimes they don't even ask questions at all. They're just observing the users, how they're interacting with the digital product. And that's very common, right? And actually probably one of the best ways to observe someone because they're not saying anything, you're just watching them. So you just have to be observant. So as you can see here, there's like program evaluation, researcher, web content, graphic artist, and communications. Now, I want to look a little bit deeper at one example for digital roles, and this is for the Scrum Master. And because Scrum Masters are very important, it's a very important role in digital government. So the skill set that Scrum Masters possess demonstrate that of a project manager because they lead or facilitate planning sessions with team members to identify objectives and goals and performance measures, right? And with business analysts, they prepare systems project documentation and obtains commitment from all the team members to actually execute the plan. For performance management analysts, I see that the skill of developing performance management framework, performance measures, targets, and reporting mechanisms fit quite nicely with Scrum Masters. And for business change advisors, especially when Scrum Masters are called upon to coach organizations on Agile and what is Scrum, the ability to lead, manage, and deliver organizational change in support of business transformation is critical. So as you could tell when I'm just explaining to you right now, the different skill set and competencies of a Scrum Master, it's very broad. It touches a lot on, project management, there's performance management, change management, and being a lean consultant, right? And for lean consultants, this is really neat actually, because a skill that is transferable to digital role is assisting businesses with implementing a set of strategies to reduce waste and continuous improvement of the process. So I hope that gives you a bit more information and tangible ideas for what the competencies and skills are in terms of what a Scrum Master is. So this is a heavy topic, right? There's a lot of things going on. So you might be actually wondering, okay, so what is the difference between government roles and digital talent roles, right? So I want to emphasize that it's just not about job descriptions, but about organizational structures and new ways of working. So I will demonstrate this in a second. So let's talk about team dynamics. To your left, you'd see independent offices working on their own goals and objectives. So typically or traditionally, an organization will have their separate offices. I call them offices just for the sake of explaining this. So there will be a project management office. There's probably going to be a strategic policy office, and they're all separated offices, right? With all your experts working in one umbrella. If you get one person from each offices and build one unit, you get a team from the right. And each roles with a variety of perspectives working together to solve an important public challenge. The team on your right is self-organizing. They are cross-functional and high-performing. They choose how best to accomplish their work, and they have all the competencies needed to accomplish the work, and they show high levels of teamwork. They also assume a flat structure, and everyone has an equal voice in a team, and each voice is valuable. So remember when I said about it's not just about job titles and job description, but it's also about organizational structure. This is what I mean by that, is having a flat structure, meaning creating a space, an environment for people to speak up when they feel like they need to speak up, to make sure that they're actually delivering a service or a product that meets citizens' needs. And we highly encourage people to say what they need to say, because that's important, right? And you want to be able to trust your team members. You want to be able to be honest and open. So, this is really about changing how we work with people around us by bringing different perspectives, communicating, and working together. So you might be thinking, well, how can I develop or enhance my digital practice? And in terms of formal trainings here at the lab that we offer. We do have things such as Agile Fundamentals, we have Digital Leadership, and UX 101 is coming soon. So it's a pretty good starting base if you're still thinking about, or you just want to learn more about what digital, like what kind of skill set you want to grow and strengthen. This is really a good time to do that. And I think we're offering Agile Fundamentals online as well, and I think digital leadership. So it's good to get on that if you have some time right now during quarantine. So I also want to provide you calls for action that you can do right now, regardless of where you work and your title is. And it's also completely free, so everyone can do this, right? So think about collaboration and how you can collaborate early, often, and widely. And when I talk about collaboration, it doesn't have to be big. You could really start small. You could even start with the team member that's sitting beside you. I mean, virtually, not in person. And then you could also start with talking to different branches or other teams in your division. And you could expand that working with other ministries, and then you could expand it even bigger working with other government entities, right? So you could really scale it up if you want on how you want to collaborate. And as long as you're focusing on delivering a value and outcomes, I think collaboration is a powerful tool to exercise doing that. The next that we could do is actually being more open. And this means just working in the open, being honest, providing the information that you think the people around you or the people that you're collaborating need in order to actually do their work and deliver what they need to deliver, right, in terms of outcomes. So just being very transparent in terms of information, I think it's a good idea because it really touches on the idea of trusting someone and being and having that honest communication. So build something, don't be afraid to start. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think sometimes we're afraid to just do it, like do something, because it's kind of like we're paralyzed by the thought of thinking, oh my God, I don't know if what I'm building is correct. Like I have to think about this more, maybe give me 3 months before I do something, maybe a year, I don't know. But please, I don't want to fail, right? And it's actually a really, it's a beautiful thing to feel that we're such, like perfectionists, and we wanna excel. Like we care about excellence, that sometimes we just don't do anything because we're just so afraid of building something wrong. But it actually doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you just build something that your users can provide a feedback earlier on, that's actually a better way of creating a product or service that meets their needs, right? Rather than just like thinking about what may they need. No, just try to build something and then present it to them, and then they could tell you about it, and you could start that conversation. And user feedback, again, very much closely related to building something and making sure you're asking for feedback, right? We should really practice being curious, to learn how your users are interacting with your products and services. And I think, we as public servants, this is one of our, standards, is to be curious, right? Like, and ask, and whether you're asking for feedback and analyzing and implementing much of that feedback as much as possible is critical. So listening to them, being curious, try to understand and be empathetic to what your users needs and want. So we have another activity here. Out of these 4 calls for action, which one could you incorporate immediately to your work? I'm curious to learn actually what people are thinking. And we'll give you some time there.
Yeah, votes are coming in nice again. And give it 20 more seconds. Lots of great votes.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
lots of great stuff to play with. All right, starting the 10-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, so Dea, we have collaboration at 17%.
Wow, nice.
Be open at 2%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Building something at 9%.
Yeah,
User feedback at 10%.
nice.
I'm ambitious, all of the above. I love that one.
Yeah.
24%.
Wow.
Yeah, there.
Way to go.
And I'm already doing most of these, 38%, which is great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I really love the results, you guys. It's nice to hear that, especially that I'm ambitious one. That's a pretty good one. And for those of you who are already doing these things, what can I say? Keep doing them, right? Just be consistent and keep doing them. And for those of you who are, just starting in the space and just trying to navigate how to enhance your digital practice, really starting in these 4 calls for action is really important, and they're tiny, but they could be impactful in terms of how you do your work. So we're almost ending here my presentation, but I'd like to end with my experience working with a high-performing team. And this is a story that I personally experienced working here at the Exchange Lab. So with this pandemic, our team at the lab was tasked to build one of the new COVID-19 response efforts. At first, actually, we weren't clear on what we need to build. What is it that we're trying to build? What is the problem we're trying to solve for? And who is this for? Like, who are end users, right? With all of this ambiguity, there were so many questions, so many unclear things that we just self-organized, and we decided to form a team and decided to collaborate. Our roles were fluid, and we were able to change gears with little to no difficulty as we work in the open. We were honest and trusted each other. With minimal information we decided to build anything. We weren't even judging what we have built the first time. We just said, it doesn't matter. We just figured it out. We were talking it out and talking with each other for what we think it could be. And so that means exploring what we know and taking notes on what we don't know, right? And then we ask for feedback. So we're asking stakeholders for feedback, whether this actually meets the criteria of what they need. And with that, we were able to iterate and improve the product. And I'm proud to say that we have built a product in less than 2 weeks. So that's how fast we were. So that's my own experience. And I am very happy to be able to have this conversation with you today. I hope this continues on, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you if you're curious to learn more or just want to chat about your own experience with digital talent, or you just want to chat to me about how can you upskill more, right? So there's my contact there. You could email me or find me on LinkedIn or call me. Up to you. So thank you so much for your time. This was really great, and I hope you had fun too. So yeah, good luck.
Ready for questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so as a reminder, this is kind of an intro course, so or 1 hour. So some of the questions, as great as they are, they might end up being potential for future 1 hour trainings, and because some Dea can answer, and some we'll have to do in the future. And also, some of the questions we'll be adding to the newsletter for this next month that we can't get to, or we want to go in further detail. There'll be an article in this newsletter from Dea. So you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Government developer positions seem to all require prior experience. What are some ways to get a dev experience in government if your current role is unrelated?
So the question is about getting some experience in government. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. There are a couple of things. So if you are not in the developer space but looking to wanted to be a software developer, and it is true that sometimes we do look for previous experience depending on what type of like the complexity of the digital product that we're building. However, there are certain programs that one can take to increase that capability. So, for instance, if you didn't have a computer science degree, which is typically the degree that we look for, there's offerings from Lighthouse Labs, if you have not heard of that. Lighthouse Labs, they have programs about web development, they have boot camps. I believe it takes about, I think, 2 months or 3 months to complete it, and then you get the training from coding and programming, and they also use quite advanced technology stack, and some that we use here at the BC Dev Exchange. So there's definitely that place to start off. In terms of self-learning, I really highly encourage you to take courses online as well, like especially right now during the pandemic. I find that a lot of, like LinkedIn is probably offering some courses, and there's some institutions that are offering free courses, or maybe courses that cost a little bit of money, but not so much in terms of introduction to programming or coding. That means to say that you kind of want to really take that initiative to learn some of these online and do like a self-paced learning. And perhaps, what about trying building an app yourself, right? If you have a couple of friends who likes to play with technology and things like that, I think it's really fun just to build an app, whether that's like an adoption puppy application. Like, I'm not sure, but this is just an example. Like, if you want to increase your skills. Also, maybe if you're looking for more mentorship and things like that, that's quite interesting, because that's probably one thing that I think that is really critical, is having senior developers train other like junior developers. So maybe that's something that will be in the works in the future, but I cannot say for sure. But yeah, that's all I could say for now. But shoot me an email if you want more information to the nitty-gritty of details.
I don't know if you'll have an answer at all in the next one, but it is being talked about. When will the PSA start changing job description for those digitally enabled roles, next generation of jobs to align to digital government?
Yeah, I think that's the question that I don't have an answer right now. We are working closely with PSA on this. So just so you know, at least we are doing that. So, but I don't have a definite timeline for when that is happening. But this is evolving work, so you will be for sure updated once those things happen in the future. So yeah, it's a conversation that is happening. So thanks for that question. Yeah.
And same with the next one.
Yeah.
How are you going to address the pay gap between public and private, hard to attract and retain with current government salaries?
Yeah. Yeah, I face that challenge all the time when trying to hire specifically for software developers. Oh, you see, it's very difficult because private companies just can pay more. They have that ability, right? And they have other perks too that they offer. Like, just think about Facebook and Google and Amazon and LinkedIn. They have all these perks that I don't know what we can offer. However, what I would say is, what attracts people the most in BC government is solving citizens' problems. I have to say, that's what it is. They don't even ask me about pay. They just say what kind of wicked problems I'm solving for. What kind of problems I'm solving for that affects my grandparents, my children, my family. That this is what they need. This is what they want. So they don't necessarily come to government to say, could you pay me as much as Amazon is going to pay me, right? They don't ask for that. And maybe that's the talent that we want to attract, right?
Beautiful response. What is the career path of a Scrum Master in government?
That's a good one. Well, if you're already a senior Scrum Master in an IS 27 or you're an IS 24 Scrum Master, there's definitely opportunities for being a coach or like an agile coach. Not that that job description or job title is already built, but just in terms of scaling in the future, really think about that like an IS-30 role for coaching and mentorship. And that role is quite broad. Like it means that you're probably dealing with a lot of ministries and teaching them how to, what is Scrum and what is Agile and how to be more agile. So a lot of stakeholder engagement there. I also see Scrum Masters sometimes moving over to a product owner roles, which could be a band 3 position. So there is certainly room for growth, and in terms of career path, there's definitely that in the future. So, yeah.
Are these teams throughout government or just in the lab? Are there digital leadership roles across government?
Yes, there are definitely digital leadership roles in government broadly. Just looking at the job postings recently, I I like to stalk what other ministries are doing with the talent. I actually observed that the natural resource ministries are probably one of the key players in terms of digital leadership roles. So there's digital operations roles that I've seen. There's also from the Ministry of Advanced Education, I believe, and then there's Ministry of Health as well, who is definitely driving this forward. So, the lab is open for anyone in the government, right? It's not just Ministry of Citizen Services who could come into the lab. So yeah, it's definitely growing. And I wish I have some numbers for you, like statistics to tell you numbers on how many digital leadership roles or how many digital talent has grown in the past. That's something that I'm looking into though. So just to see the proliferation of usage of this job descriptions. So yeah.
The next question is I'm surprised there are no system architects or data architecture roles listed as having transferable skills. They seem to be quite valuable as a tech product team.
Yeah, they are, yes. Sorry, I actually didn't mean to ignore those people because those roles are really important. But the only reason why I actually have to leave them out is I was really focusing on the digital roles of product owner, Scrum Masters, and UX researchers. I think for another talk, maybe, that's something that I could really dig deeper. Quality assurance is so important with programming and with code, and we're looking at DevOps specialists or site reliability engineers with those positions. We do have a job description for a DevOps specialist available in the job store, so there's that. Definitely, that's a talk that's a topic that has been really, that I've been thinking about deeply, just in terms of, right, we are producing code and we're coding and we're programming away, but how do we actually know the quality of the code, that we make sure it doesn't break in 2 months or something like that, right? So sorry, like for sure, I didn't mean to leave that out, but it's something that we could talk about in the future if you guys are more curious about that. So, yeah.
Is there an overall government commitment to Agile for digital government? Are ministries still developing services through Waterfall?
That's a really good question. I think some ministries are delivering some projects in a waterfall method, but I cannot say for sure the percentage or how many ministries are still doing that. It's because that will take a lot of research, in fact. But just to be frank, the agile method of working is increasing, just in terms of its people embracing it and other ministries embracing it, and leadership and executives embracing what it is. There is that popularity for sure. And there are certainly projects that probably work better in waterfall versus agile. So this is not to say that agile is the only way. It's to say that there is another way. There's agile. There's also waterfall. It's about that. It's not to exclude any other methods out there. If you find that waterfall helps you, or if you find that it helps you deliver better services, then go use that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
I like to see this one because we were just talking about it with the slide deck. What is the career path for UX? I don't see much higher level design roles at government.
Yeah, that is interesting too, right? Because I think there are some roles in UX, like I think there's a director of service design or something like that that one can move into, and there's definitely UX or service design leads that are happening in government, just in terms of job titles. So there is room for growth there. I can't speak much about, if you're an IS 27 or you're already a senior level UX designer or researcher. There is also roles that such as UX lead that you're leading an IS 30, I suppose is the classification for that, and you're leading basically a group of UX designers and helping them, mentoring them, and all those things. So if you want to get into more of managerial or supervisory mentorship role, definitely the IS 30s or the band levels probably will have more of those opportunities. Not that I could say right now that you could see in the hiring board that there's those things, but just in terms of what I'm seeing with other organizations, there's definitely those positions available. So, yeah.
Nice. Next question. Not all citizens have digital access. How are we ensuring that digital is only one service channel and that other channels remain available?
Yeah. Well, I think that touches on accessibility as well, right? And how we're building products that, is ethical and thinking about what other people need. Again, everyone has a different digital journey. So think about other countries that may not be able to use apps, or they don't know how to use applications, right? It's about being flexible. Again, it's not being fixated on we just need to build applications. No. Remember what we said earlier about what digital government is, and when we did that activity, most of you have stated there's flexibility there, right? This is what I'm trying to say here right now, is that we have to be adaptable, we have to be flexible, because everybody, every citizen will have a different digital journey. And sometimes I may be really good at using applications and all those things, but then other citizens may just say, I'm really just comfortable using a form online, and that's okay too. We should be able to accommodate that, right? We should be including these people and making sure that our services reflect that. I hope that answered the question.
How about options for waterfall project managers transitioning to agile framework and teams? Is there some types of junior roles to ease the transition?
That's a really good question. If you look in the job store and you look at the digital talent job stream, you would notice that most of the roles start in an IS 24 level, specifically for Scrum Masters and UX. Actually, with developers, I believe it starts in IS 18 level. So I am quite, I'm experimenting on this on my head and thinking about how can we train and coach people in like project management roles to be in a Scrum Master role, right? And maybe a suggestion could be creating more job descriptions that is an IS 21 or an IS 18, right? To build that skill set. There's also one thing one can do is taking the certified Scrum Master course. I think it's a 2-day course that you take, and it really teaches you what Scrum is, and that also gives you the baseline for what the work is about. So if you just wanna start taking that, that's a really good course to take. It's 2 days. I took it myself. It was really fun, and I learned a lot about what a Scrum Master is and what is Scrum. So there's that. So right now I cannot think of formally transitioning just in terms of classification and job titles, but it's something that I'm playing around with in terms of thinking about building capacity, building digital talent capacity in the BC government. I don't know how much time we have, but
we're down to 6 minutes. We'll just keep going
Okay.
until we get to 12, and then
Okay.
we'll call it. I'll answer the next question. Is it possible that the people that need this session most are the people who did not attend? Well, possibly. We're doing our best. Daniel Pizarro, myself, Carla Wilson, and Kathleen to get it out everywhere. And we're still so new at this, even though it's exciting to have this many people on. My hope is over time, this will continue to grow and grow and grow, and more people will watch it. And it is going to be recorded, so if you did enjoy it or you want to share it with colleagues, whether in the government or not, please send them the link. Next question. How can I transform to a different role at government?
Oh, that's a broad question, but let me try and answer that. So how can I transform my role in digital government? It depends. What's your current role right now? Maybe you and I should have a private chat.
Let's do it on. Let's do it off. Okay. There's a question about providing information on software developer education. And it's a thank you. It's actually more of a thank you now that I read it again.
Oh, yes, you're welcome.
Where do you recommend for product owner or Scrum Master training?
Yes, there's also actually a product owner training that is 2 days that you could take. So there's that, and then as I mentioned earlier with Scrum Master, with project managers trying to transition to Scrum Master position, there's this certified Scrum Master that you could take. I could, you know what I'm gonna do? It's probably easier if I send you out links later on and resources for when you can see where you could take those courses. So you're just not like Googling away and figuring out which one is she talking about.
And that'll be in the newsletter blog.
Totally, yeah. So there's that, yeah.
Okay, good speed.
Powering through.
Will we be touching on the FlexTrack tender management system? It seems mysterious and more like a barrier to entry than an efficiency.
Oh, I actually haven't heard of that one.
Neither have I.
What can you? Yeah.
It's called FlexTrack, and again, that could be potentially in a future talk. We'll see.
We'll
look into it
for sure. Yeah.
Where are the technical analysts and system architects, i.e. for when the new product enters production stage of the life cycle?
Yes. Actually, those types of roles are just part of the development team. In terms of just thinking about, you have your Scrum Masters, product owners, your developers. Think of a role of a DevOps specialist, and they're just integrated within the team. Because it's hard. I just cannot say that. Oh, okay. At this point of time, now that we have built this product, we need a quality assurance person or a systems analyst person, right? There is a room to make sure that that person or their job title is taken into account when actually building the digital product, not as when it's already built or something like that. So making sure that we are collaborating early on and asking people who have the knowledge and skills and abilities to be included in that team and into that conversation. So yes, I didn't mean to leave those positions, and I think in the future talk it will be really nice to talk about the technical roles in government, such as database administrators and things like that, or quality assurance. That's something that we could definitely dive deeper into the next talk if you want. So
okay, before I ask you the last question, sorry for everyone, but this will be the last question.
Yes.
There's a survey that just came out. There's so much interest in this conversation. Please fill out the survey so we know where to go next.
Yeah.
These questions are very helpful for us, but also the survey will help us immensely, and we would like to do more of these because there's so much interest. So, last question.
All right, bring it on.
Here you go. The training just mentioned, are these available for non-government employees?
I'm sorry?
The trainings that you mentioned, like the UX 101 and stuff.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, they are open because even our contracted resources here at the lab can take the courses. So yeah, they are actually open for everyone. And don't we have a link on like the newsletter for where the trainings are? Yeah,
that's correct.
Yes, so sign up for the newsletter as well if you want to know about current job postings, because I post jobs and then some trainings too that are happening. Make sure that you sign up for the newsletter.
That's it. It's a pleasure doing this with you, Dea. We wanted to do this for a while. You were
Thank
awesome.
you so
Thank
much. Thank you so much. Thanks.